day of me shooting my podcast. This is the first episode called Simply Be Simply Me. And as you all know, but for some of you who don't know and just learning about me, I am Nakeisha Smith. I am a real estate agent in the DFW area. I love doing real estate. I love what I do. I love helping people. Um, it is something that definitely is a joy for me. But there's a level for me that I feel that I want to show other aspects of me. I want to show who I am in addition to being a real estate agent. I am a wife. I am a mom. I am a friend. I am a team lead. I teach other real estate agents how to do real estate as best as they can. And I am a mentor. I'm all of those great things. But the one thing that I don't believe most people know about me, that I am really a woman of God. I take my faith very seriously. I enjoy my stillness and my time that I have with God. As I get older, I feel like it's something that I need to do more so for myself, especially wearing the many hats that I do wear. Um, there's no way that I can walk through life, and I always believe this, but even more so now, if I am not grounded and staying true to what God has called for me to do. I have seen his work in my life. I have seen where he has taken me from and where he has brought me to, even to this present day. I have seen how he has allowed me to pour into other people, to pour into my family, and to inspire others. But I realize now he has wanted me to do something for a long time on a bigger and grander scale, that I have been pretty much at a standstill because I have been afraid. And finally, the last 4 to 6 months, I have been writing in my journal, sitting in prayer, and presenting God with the same question. You really want me to do this? Why? Why me? I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know why I'm doing it. And my why is because God said, go. He said to move. You need to do this because there's a world of people, even if it's just an additional 1 to 5 or maybe 50 to 500 people that need to hear the things that you have to say, to inspire them, to motivate them, to give them hope, to allow them to continue to move forward with their dreams and aspirations, but also knowing that it's okay to showcase your love, to put God first and not be ashamed of that while moving forward in your greatness. So this is me, Nakeisha Smith. And as you can see from my sweatshirt, hopefully my hair is not covering it. I am a woman of God. And I hope that this podcast inspires you to follow your purpose, follow your dreams, and know that there is nothing too big, that if you want to achieve it, God can help you get there. One of the things that I wanted to share that's personal to me, but part of this new journey that I'm on with sharing other aspects and part of me, um, I want to share with you guys that I decided for the new year, I didn't want to bring in a new year at a party. I didn't want to bring it at someone's house celebrating, and not that any of those things are bad because I've done that plenty of times in my life. I decided to bring in the new year getting baptized. So I wanted to start the year off just, I don't even know if I can fully explain what I felt, but I know that it was something that just came over me that I wanted to do. And as I shared it with my family, um, my 17-year-old daughter decided, hey, I want to do it too. And we actually did it together. So that was special and it was great. But the most special part of that day, She went first to get baptized, and I was right behind her. So now she is behind the stage of where they were doing the baptism. And now it's my turn. I get baptized, and now I walk off the stage. And when I walk off the stage, there she is standing there with her arms wide open, and she's saying, "We did it, we did it," and she's waiting for me to give her a hug. And it was such a surreal moment for me to just see her. I don't know if she even knows the impact that she had on me that day, but it was such a surreal moment, and a moment that made me even more grateful. I'm always grateful that God chose me to be a mom, but those were one of those moments where I was definitely even more grateful that God had chose me to be her mom, but most importantly, He chose her to be my daughter. Um, she also shared something with me that I did not know about getting baptized, that getting baptized is equally as important as the day you were born. And it's a day that you're never supposed to forget, and you are to celebrate it every single year. So I said, well, we will never forget this day because December 31st is New Year's Eve. So who will forget that day? So I am looking forward to celebrating this year my rebirth of getting baptized and doing it with my daughter and celebrating that is something that we have together to cherish, and she can share that with her children. And hopefully, we can possibly make this a family tradition that, people get baptized in the family on New Year's Eve. But that's something that I wanted to share with you guys, to let you guys know. As I stated earlier, I really am grounded in my faith. I'm not perfect, by no means necessary. And I'm still learning and still walking with God and listening to Him and trying to move when He tells me to move, because that's some of the things that I still struggle with. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. As I was getting up this morning, I knew this day was coming, and I have been working with a few people behind the scenes. And when I say a few people, I literally mean a few people, because I didn't want to share what I was doing with the people that I normally would share it with, and not because I don't want their opinions and support and love. It's just because God told me, no, you just move, just go. So the people behind the scenes that are helping me are people that needed to be behind the scenes in order to make this come to life, but I didn't go to them for their opinion or thoughts or approval. It was just, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how I want it done. And that's it. And I shared with my husband just last week the name of the podcast and the layout of the podcast and my full reason and why. And of course, he supported that. And he said he believed in it. And the minute I told him the name, he was like, he really liked the name. So that was a good thing for me. But even though I knew for 2 weeks this was happening and every day we were getting closer, I was nervous and excited all at the same time. But this morning, the fear and nerves that took over me was unreal. I almost called everyone involved to tell them, let's cancel. I'm not coming. I will not be here. I don't want to do it. But I sat in my prayer and meditation this morning like I usually do. And even as I was in my prayer and meditation this morning, I was so afraid and on the verge of tears and having conversations with God like, I don't think I could do this. There's no way I can do this. And towards the end of my journaling and listening to my meditation and reading the word, it was literally the last 30 seconds that all of a sudden these words came together for me. And the words were, move out of fear and step into faith. And the minute that I heard those words, I wrote it down in my journal. And as I wrote it down in my journal, it was as if all of the nerves and fear that was on a whole nother level times 1,000 just went away. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not nervous at this moment. It doesn't mean I don't still have a slight bit of fear, but it's nothing compared to this morning. And I was able to say, okay, I got this. You know, God wouldn't bring me this far to start this and move forward and start to put the pieces of the puzzle together, which all came together so seamlessly, if he didn't feel that I was equipped to do this. So I'm giving you this as honest and raw as possible, that I was, oh gosh, I wish I could take what was inside of me as far as my feelings and emotions of what I was feeling, but I'm doing it anyway. So I hope you guys all enjoy what I will be bringing to you, not just from this first episode, but from all of the other episodes of this season to come for Simply Be, Simply Me. But I hope you guys will enjoy this pilot first episode. I don't even know what we call it, but this is the first pilot episode. Hopefully you guys don't cancel me after this first episode. I know that I am going to be discussing different things about why I am doing this podcast, why I decided to do this podcast, me walking and stepping out on faith according to what God called me to do. But I'm also going to dive a little deeper as to my why. And what I mean by that is, it may sound a little bit more serious and dramatic than I just made it to sound just now, and I didn't mean to do that. But I really, really, really don't like the sometimes unauthentic elements of social media that is put out there for people. And in later episodes, you guys will understand why I feel this way. I think it's great and amazing to showcase all of your accomplishments and positivity and motivational things in life. But I think there's also a level of us as human beings, we also need to show the moments where it wasn't always so easy to get there. The moments of where we had self-doubt or where we were unsure about ourselves, because I find that sometimes when we are putting out, and when I say we, I'm including myself, when we are putting out all of these great, wonderful, amazing things, sometimes there is a level of responsibility that we don't realize that we carry for the other people on the other side watching us. Sometimes when we put things out, and some people may disagree with me and say it's not my responsibility to worry about what other people may be feeling, but if we don't showcase our days where we're not our best selves, and I don't mean if you having like the worst day crying in the corner or whatever, that's not what I'm saying. But those tough days, those tough moments when you wanted to give up, the tough moments where you may have made a bad financial decision about being an entrepreneur and you wanted to start a business and it didn't go as well. When we showcase those things, it helps the individuals behind us that are looking to us, that we inspire, that they want to almost not be us, but they want to kind of follow the same footsteps that we're going down. When they don't see the behind the scenes, they don't see the real, they don't see the blood, the sweat, the tears, the cries, the ugly cries. Sometimes I have an ugly cry and it may look like Roscoe or from the scene in Martin. They start to doubt themselves. And again, it's some people will say, well, that's not my responsibility. It's not your responsibility, but you do play a role in helping them move forward. And I don't even know if I'm fully explaining this correctly. I don't know if I'm articulating myself correctly, but there's a level of people that when they look at social media, it doesn't bring out the best in them, because all we're doing is showcasing greatness, which we're supposed to do, but we're not showing them how we got to the greatness. And if we show more of how we got to the greatness, it wouldn't allow them to feel like, oh, well, why isn't my business moving forward in this direction? Well, this is what I had to do to even get here. And if they were able to see more of those things, I think that it would put all of us in a better space to not just help ourselves, but to help others. So yesterday I was on a panel, and the question was, how many years of experience do you have in this industry, and how many transactions have you done? And one person had 12 years, another person had about 7 years, another person had about 8 years. And now it's time for me to answer this question. And what most people don't know, I typically feel uncomfortable when it's time for me to answer this question, because my story and journey is not like everyone else's. I don't have 7 years, 8 years, 12 years, or even 10 years, or let alone, I don't even have 5 years of experience as a real estate agent. But when I tell people that, they're always shocked when I say, I haven't even hit 4 years in real estate. I hit 3 years November 1st of 2023. And my journey in this business, I truly did go from 0 to 100 really quick in the world of real estate, which is not normal. That's not, the average realtor does not go from 0 to 100 in 3 years, let alone within 6 months, and possibly less than that. I'm going to do this really quick in my head. I started real estate November 1st of 2020, I think. That would then put me into 4 years this year. November 1st, 2020, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to help people, especially, if I'm being honest, minority people, get into the world of learning that they can achieve home ownership. And I had no thought process of, I'm going to be a luxury real estate agent. That was not in my plans at all. It was just I was going to help the average buyer in the 300, 350 range and help them achieve home ownership. And I had this thought that I was going to just help 2 or 3 people. That's it. I promise you, nothing more, nothing less. It was, hey, I really want to do this after 8 years of always wanting to get into real estate. Let me finally jump in and let me help these people, 2 to 3 people a year. And that was November 1st, 2020. And then my very first contract was February 8th, 2021. So that is about 4 months, if I'm doing the math correctly, from when I started to when I got my first contract. And February was my first contract. By April of 2021, and it possibly could have been March, I ended up being a top producer. And now, before everyone jumps in and says, oh, well, that was during COVID and all of those things, it had nothing to do with COVID. And the reason why I can confidently say it had nothing to do with COVID was because even after COVID, I still continued to be successful, to still hit numbers, and to still be a top producer. If I'm also being honest, I didn't even know top producer existed in the world of real estate. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know it was a thing. I was at one of my previous brokers' monthly meeting, and they were celebrating the top producers, which is $1 million or more in real estate in 30 days. And if you know me, you know that I celebrate and I root for everyone. It doesn't matter male, female, it doesn't matter your race, background. I genuinely want everyone to win and be successful. And I'm at the meeting and I hear the names and I'm just clapping like, yay, because I support everyone. And then after the names, I then saw the pictures, which were connected to the names. And at that moment, I realized, yes, I'm still clapping and supporting them, and I'm rooting for them, and I'm glad for their success, but there was no one on that list that looked like me. And I remember going home that day and saying to my husband, I'm going to work to be a top producer, but not because I want to be a top producer. I just want to show people who look like me it's possible. Without trying to be a top producer, I ended up just naturally being a top producer, because when I said it to him after attending that meeting, I think it was February, March, I didn't realize I was going to end up being a top producer almost about 45 days after I said this to him. So I didn't get into this business to say, oh, I just want to be at the top. I want to have a luxury lifestyle that most realtors put out there in the world of real estate. I didn't get into real estate to do anything other than to genuinely help people. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but that's really what I got into this business to do. But what I didn't realize is, yes, God told me I was going to be helping people, and I'm thinking it's just in real estate from buying properties for people who look like me. I ended up helping people in a different way, whether it was real estate agents, whether it was inspiring someone, whether it was from an outfit, or whether it was just seeing someone. And when I say seeing someone, by genuinely saying, hey, I see you, I know you. You are that real estate agent from whatever brokerage firm, or congratulations on you selling your first condo and this is your first year in real estate. Seeing those individuals and just acknowledging them or smiling at them or giving them a hug, it actually made me realize over time that I wasn't just in this business to help my clients, I was actually helping other people without even realizing it. So I mentioned being a top producer, and I mentioned me feeling as if realtors don't really share everything. They just share the greatness, and I'm a top producer, cheese. I have shared on my social media page more than once that I was a top producer, and I will continue to do that, but not because I am bragging, not because I just want to just show people like, hey, look at me. No, it's nothing like that. It genuinely is, in this world that we're in of real estate, and fully now seeing how it works. Real estate is a numbers game. Again, I didn't realize this getting into this because I was just helping 2 or 3 people. Remember that. But once I made top producer, and again, making top producer and seeing a space and a world where most of us are not on those lists, as far as when I say most of us, black females, black males, and if you do see a black male, that's great, but you rarely see black women as top producers in real estate in Texas. You will see it if we were in Atlanta. You will see it all day, every day. But we're not. We're in Texas. And it's nothing bad. It's just I feel like I have to showcase me being a top producer because I now see the other individuals that are in this business who feel like I don't have what it takes, or I'm struggling. Why am I not hitting these numbers? You actually can hit these numbers. It's going to take a lot of work. It wasn't easy for me. But when I showcase I made it and I'm a top producer this month, it's just to continue to pour into you, to show you that it's possible, to give you hope, to let you see that no matter how big your dream is, you can achieve it. And I'm a prime example because me being top producer wasn't even a dream of mine. It was just something that God placed in my life. But now as I sit with it more, I understand why, and it's to inspire others. You will see me showcase. I won an award, and again, I just showcased it to show people that it's possible. But one of the things that I showcased this for 2 reasons. At my previous broker, I was the top 100 out of 1,100 agents at the time. And we had a celebration, and when I went to the celebration and I looked around, I didn't see, again, anyone who looked like me. And I said to myself, like, I really want to change that. So if I can help pour into other agents, again, I will pour into anyone and I will support anyone, but I would like to see more of us in the room. I posted that I was in this room, and I posted it to, again, not only show others, but that one I also posted it when I sit back and think about it. I posted it to go back for myself for the days that I struggle, for the days that I feel like, do I still want to do real estate? For the days where it seems like it's really tough for me, I can go back to that post myself and see what I accomplished and be proud of that as well, because, and that could be a whole nother episode, I don't actually celebrate myself enough, but again, that's another episode. But it's also to inspire myself. When I feel like I just maybe need a break and I want to take a step away from this, I look at those posts and see, look at what you accomplished already. Why would you want to step away from this? You may need a little self-care day or a spa day, but you don't want to step away from this. And if you step away from this, what if it stops others from moving forward? What if it stops others from believing in themselves, you know? So I know I talk about top producer, but there's a reason why I shared it and I posted it, but it's just to inspire and uplift and hopefully allow you to just keep moving forward. All right, so since we are being authentic in this Simply Me podcast, I'm actually going to be taking some questions. So I am going to be answering a question that I actually will see for the first time while I'm taping this, because I like to answer questions authentically. So I'm going to answer this question now, so hold on. Okay, so the question is, I'm considering becoming a realtor. Give me the real. What has been your toughest day in real estate? Ooh. Okay. So, I am pausing because I feel some emotions coming on, but I'm going to hold it together. So there's a two parts to that question. The toughest day for me in real estate was when I first started. I was dealing with working with my client and working with a listing agent who was just so difficult in this process. And we needed to extend our closing date a few times. And each time that we needed to extend the closing date, her sellers would request more money. And the last time they requested an additional $7,500 and stated this was the last extension. And if we did not close on this day, that they weren't going to do another extension, and my client would be out of, at this moment, close to $20,000. And that was tough for me because I just didn't understand why. I understood why they needed the additional earnest money. I didn't understand why it needed to be so much, because when you have extensions, you want to just make sure that from the sales side, you're protecting your client. But it was her delivery in the way she would communicate, and she was just not pleasant to work with. And it was tough for me because I didn't like the fact that my client had so much money on the line that they would possibly be losing. It's a sense of, it's not your fault, but it's a sense of guilt that you have if your clients can't make it to the closing table and there's no out for them to get their money back. To know that your client could be losing $13, $15, $20, even $1,000, you have a sense of guilt. And again, it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do. You have no control over it, because if it has to do with lending, you have no control over someone getting approved from the lending perspective, but you still carry that sense of guilt. And now we are a couple of days from getting the final approval from lending, and it was just tough for me, feeling like my client would possibly lose $20,000 if we didn't make it to the closing table. And that was the toughest day for me. For some people, that they may say, well, that's not really a tough moment, but for me it is, because for the most part I don't take things personal in real estate. So that was one of my toughest moments in real estate, but we made it through. It was tough. The second part, why I was feeling a sense of overwhelming emotions really quickly, another tough time in real estate for me had nothing to do with real estate. It actually had to do with I'm doing great in real estate. My career is just going moving up, 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 and it's getting better. But at that same time, I was dealing with something personal, and it was a challenge for me to balance the two. And there was a moment where I felt like I can't do real estate and continue to grow at this level while I'm dealing with this here. So I rather just deal with this here, and that means I'm going to quit real estate and deal with the personal issue going on. And it was actually my husband when I said to him, I think I'm just going to quit real estate because I can't manage both of them at the same time because the person who needed my undivided attention. And I remember him saying to me, you can't quit because that's what the enemy wants you to do. We're going to get through this and we'll get through it together. We just have to keep, pushing forward. But you can't quit because that's what the enemy wants you to do because he sees that you are doing what God has called you to do and even better and bigger than what you even dreamed for yourself. So now, yes, this personal thing does need our undivided attention, but we can still give it the attention that it needs without you quitting. If you want to take a couple of days off, that's one thing, but you can't quit because that's what the enemy wants you to do. But that personal thing, just thinking about it, that was really probably honestly, the toughest time for me in real estate was something that I was dealing with personal. And that may come up in maybe episode 5 or 6, so stay tuned. Thank you for that question. I decided that I'm going to keep the questions anonymous, or maybe I may just say initials moving forward. But thank you for that question. I will be answering questions at the end of every episode, so don't forget to send your questions to sbsm@simplybesimplyme.com. And I may not get to your question in episode 2 or 3 or 4, but I will get to your question. So make sure you get those questions in. I truly hope you guys enjoyed this first episode. I know that it is filled with nerves. For me, may sound like I'm rambling. At least that's what it sounds like to me. But I want it to just be as authentic and true as I possibly could be in this first episode. But I also know myself, and I'm going to watch this back in episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, maybe 10 times better. But I hope you truly enjoyed just learning a different side of me outside of just being a real estate agent. My next couple of episodes, if questions come in about real estate, I'm going to answer them. But my next couple of episodes, I know possibly will not have real estate questions in it as far as for me personally, or real estate statements, I should say. And I may not talk about real estate at all in the rest of the episodes that's coming up because, again, I am sharing this podcast to show the other levels and other sides of me being just authentically Nakeisha. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please make sure you watch the rest of the episodes on all streaming channels and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Simply Be, Simply Me. And I hope you enjoyed Nakeisha. I want to try to always leave with a positive note of if you are a blessing, it's a must for you to be a blessing to others. And I know you guys have seen that on my social media channel, but that's what I live by. So enjoy your day and don't forget to be a blessing to others.